Hi guys, it's Amy from My Sewing Box and I'm here today to show you how to make a lovely Liberty bow tie. So I thought this would be a great tutorial at this time of the year for Me Made May, and also because we've got Father's Day coming up. And I always think it's nice to give something handmade, but obviously it can be difficult to sew for men who don't like the many girly options that we have to choose from. So I wanted to make a tie, but I thought a bow tie would be a bit easier, a bit more fun, and something a bit more special. So the main things you need for this is the downloadable template, which you'll find on the blog, your fat quarter of fabric. So I've used this lovely Liberty fat quarter, which is from the new Cottage Garden collection. And then you'll also need a bow tie set. So these are really easy to find, they're not very expensive, I think they're a couple of pounds. And that's really what you need to make it. You can use any fat quarter that you've got. I would recommend 100% cotton just because it holds the structure a bit better. And obviously your thread and your machine. So the first thing you need to do is print out the template, and it will look a little bit like this. So you've got your 3 pieces printed on there. Make sure that you've got it scaled to print at 100%, because the first time I printed it, my printer settings were set to 97% and it just made it a little bit out. It doesn't matter that much, but it will just affect the final size of the bow tie. So once you've printed that out, just cut them out and you have the 3 pieces. So that's your actual bow piece. Don't worry, it doesn't come out that massive. Then you've got your bow centre, and then you've got your strap, which you need to make sure that you cut on the fold so that it's long enough to go around your neck, otherwise you're going to have a bit of an issue. And then the next thing you need to do is make sure that you've ironed your fat quarters so there's no creases in it, because mine had quite a few where I'd folded it up. And that just means that it will be nice and flat once you've made it up, because you're not going to get much chance to get rid of the creases very easily otherwise. If you want to wash it, if you think you're going to wash the final item, then you can pre-wash it and iron it. And also accounts for any shrinkage, but if you don't think you're going to wash it, you don't necessarily need to. So the first thing you're going to do is pin your pattern pieces to your fabric. Now it doesn't really matter whether you pin to the front or the back, it won't really make any difference. The only thing you need to make sure of is that this strap you cut on the fold on the short edge. So for your final strap piece, you just need to fold your piece of fat quarter in half, and then make sure that you've got the strap piece with the arrows on the fold. So you've got your 3 pattern pieces cut out. Don't need those 2 for now. And this is going to be your long neck piece. So basically what you're going to do is sew a tube together. So if you turn it right sides together, and then you want to pin all along this long edge, and then you're going to sew it under the machine. So now you're going to stitch the tube together. So you need to leave a 5mm seam allowance, which you should have on your machine. See, mine has these 2 little guides here for 5mm. So you're just going to stitch a straight line down it. So I'm going to start with my needle in and just try and keep it straight. You're going to have to remove your pins as you go. So you're going to have to turn this tube inside out, and now this is really the worst bit. So to get you going, it doesn't matter if you break the little stitches on the end a little bit here to get it through. Just kind of want to poke it through. Sometimes I use this dressmaking pencil with a little bit of a sharp edge just to help start bringing it through like this. And then you basically want to pull from the seam through. And it's going to take you a little while, but I promise it's worth it. So I have turned this tube out, as you can see, and then I've also pressed it flat. So you want to press it so that your seam line runs along the middle of one side. So this is going to be the side that sits against the neck. So that will just hide that seam, and then just give it a nice press so that it's nice and flat. This is your chance to get out all the creases at this point. So it should look just like that. And then, so that's the tube strap done. And then for your bow piece, you need to press the long edges in by about 1 centimetre. So I've already done that. And then you're going to sew the ends together. So what I'm going to do is fold it in half and pin along the edge. And then you're going to sew this together, and you want to sew it with about a 0.5 centimetre seam allowance down here again under the machine. So you've got your seam, and then you just want to press the seam allowances open and then turn it right sides out. So now you're going to work on putting the clip on your strap. So you need one of these bow tie sets by Hemline, and they've got several pieces inside. So this is actually enough to make 2. So you only need 2 pieces. So you're just going to open the pack. And so you'll need the adjuster, the ring, and then the hook. You're going to basically follow the instructions on the back of the bow tie clip set pack. And it may seem a little bit complicated, but it does work, trust me. So the first thing you're going to do is take the little buckle piece and thread your strap through. This can be a little bit fiddly. Top one, and then back through over the middle bar into the next bit. And then you want to leave about 1 centimetre or so to stitch it down. So don't worry if it bunches up a little bit inside. You don't really see it on the outside. So then you're going to sew on this little bit, and it might be easier to hand sew it than use your machine, depends how far you're going to do it. So I've stitched my end down here, and then the next thing you're going to do is the opposite end. You want to thread your hook on, so the hook's on the right side of the fabric, so the one without the seam. So you're going to thread that all the way down, and then with this loose end, you're going to pull it back through the buckle on top of where you already have pulled the strap through. So it's a little bit fiddly, but this is what makes it adjustable. So you just want to make sure that the fabric is sitting the right way up. Little loose thread there. And then back through this top one over the centre bar section again. Like that. So that makes your adjustable piece. So you can have it as long or as short as you want, like that. So you just want to adjust it to however long you think you might want it. And it works like most adjustable straps. You just pull that bit and then pull the end through. So that's your adjusted piece. And then what you're going to do on the other end is just sew it through your ring. Now, if you're not sure if it's going to be long enough, you can add a little bit of elastic and sew that down. But I think this is going to be plenty long enough. So then you're going to do what you did for the other piece and just stitch that about 1 centimetre down as well. And then you're going to have the closure that opens like that. So the last bit is just to make the bow and bring the bow together. So you've got this little tube you've made out of the bow. You want to make sure the seam sat in the middle and the back. And then you just want to pinch it together to create the bow basically. So I like to do it so that every third sort of the fabric ripples up, and it gives you a nice bow effect, a little bit like that. You want to make sure it's quite even and that the bows sit nicely. And once you're happy with how it sits, you can pop a little stitch through there to hold it in place. Now it doesn't matter if this doesn't look too neat at the moment, because it's going to get hidden by the centerpiece. So that's just to tack it in place really. Just going to tie that off. And then you're going to take your centerpiece that you've pressed, and you're going to basically just place it in the middle. And you can adjust your bow as you prefer. And then once you're happy with how it's at, before you sew up the edges, you're going to place your strap in the middle. So you want to make sure that the clip and the buckle aren't going to be trapped in just while you sew it. You want to make sure that they get included. So what you're then going to do is fold it over and sew it. It's best to hand sew this bit really, because it can be a little bit tricky. And so you can fold it down like that and that way, or you can, what I prefer to do is sort of fold this under as a little seam allowance. You can pop a little pin in it and then sew it neatly together like that. So if you just grab a pin, hold it all in place, and check that you're happy with how it looks on the front. And then you very carefully need to hand sew, and what you're trying to make sure is that you're not going to sew this center strap to the bow too much in case you want to move it along. So if you do want to keep it stationary, you know the size that you need for the adjustable part, measure it and adjust it to the right length, and then sew the bow wherever you need it. If you don't, then I recommend trying not to sew the center bow into the strap. So you're just going to start underneath and sew your way along. It can help to hold your finger in underneath so you don't get it caught. So that's it, and there you have your adjustable bow tie. A cute little bow on the front. And that's what it should look like when it's done, and then you put your little adjustable piece there.